Hello everyone, this is Boricua Binks and welcome back to Let's Play the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, where we are continuing on in the 5th chapter of the game. And I just think it's cute how wherever I saved, whatever location I was at when I saved last time, they show on the screen here. So as you can see, we are now in Sherlock Holmes's suite and we're talking to them. So let's continue on. Uh-oh. Poor Sherlock. Ugh, it would indeed be a fine day to die. I knew something looked different. Oh, he's sad. So his machine that he made and yet he never used is gone. No wonder he's sad. What happened, dude? Did Iris tell you to finally get rid of it since you're not using it? Something's missing from Mr. Holmes's desk. Oh. Well, let's examine. I think we got a few different things we can look at this time, maybe? I don't know. First of all, can we examine her? Oh, we would have to talk to her. No, not yet. Well, we could talk about the fire. The fire is burning comfortingly in the grate again today. It's a very different feeling to a Japanese hibachi somehow. Oh, look at that photographic print of a lady displayed on the mantelpiece. Could it be? Yes, it must be. It's the woman. Oh, how exciting. Ooh, the woman? I wonder, are they going to include her? So there's a woman in the Sherlock Holmes stories. Her name is, I could be wrong. I don't know if it's spoilery, but her name is Irene Adler, and she is a very interesting character. Her and Sherlock have a kind of like, almost like a Batman and Catwoman kind of relationship, where sometimes Irene is not exactly a good girl, and she'll do some bad things, and sometimes, you know, she'll get in Sherlock's way, and other times she'll assist him and he'll save her or whatever, and they have a very interesting relationship. I think my favorite depiction of it was in the BBC series with Benedict Cumberbatch. His Sherlock with I forgot her name, Laura something, but with his version of Irene Adler. They had this one episode, the first episode of the season 2 was really good. It's probably my favorite, like the best well-written piece of Sherlock that I can think of, you know? Like, I enjoy other versions and other things, but I think something about that episode in particular, the way that he like longs for her, and yet he doesn't want to show it because he's Sherlock Holmes, you know? He's supposed to be logical and not very emotional, and that's like what protects him from getting hurt, you know? So his attachment to her was a difficult thing for him to deal with, especially because she wasn't exactly an innocent or good person. I wouldn't say she's evil, but she, you know, she's kind of selfish, right? She's in it for herself most of the time. But every now and then she would do something for him, or because she didn't want him to get hurt or killed or whatever. Yeah, so Batman, Catwoman, Sherlock, Irene Adler, that's the way it goes. So I'm guessing they must have included her. Iris must have written about her in her stories, so Susato knows about her. Is that supposed to mean something to me? I get an achievement. The woman? Question mark. Yes. I would love it if they would include her. It's one of the few heterosexual pairings that I just like wholeheartedly, I'm like, yes, yes. It's so good. Okay. What else can we examine? I mean, this is the usual, right? Looks like that huge metal chest is being used as a table for tea and coffee. Seems very sturdy with an equally sturdy lock. Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You're very mischievous. Well, she called him that earlier, too. How did you come to that conclusion? Why do you keep saying this, even though it's not true? But clearly we have to... I mean, nothing else has really changed. I don't know if I should bother looking at every single thing again. Look at Mr. Holmes' desk. It's completely clear. I didn't even click on the desk. I clicked on this little side desk thing. Isn't that enormous machine usually on it? We can never hope to understand what goes on in the great detective's mind, Mr. Naruhodo. Why, next time we're invited, we may find he's vacated the entire suite. That's scarily plausible, actually. Okay. I guess that was all I had to really look at? Oh, that's right! We didn't even look at this side before! Could we? Before? This is cute! I didn't know it was that big. So this whole section is Iris's. Aww, it's so cute! Alright, let's look. That's a charming little white shelf. And full of charming little bottles, too. But the contents of them aren't quite so charming, it seems. Science is the future, Mr. Naruhodo. You can't deny it. I'm saving my money so that I can buy some chemistry apparatus as well. Ah, chemistry. I probably never told you guys that I seriously was considering becoming a doctor or a scientist because I like chemistry. I always thought of it like I'm a witch, right? Making concoctions and brews, or not even necessarily a witch, like a magician, or I don't know. Like, you know, those healer classes when they're able to make potions and stuff. Like, I always thought that was really cool. I don't know. Now I'm just like, if it includes math, I'm not so sure. I think they might include a lot of math. That was the only downside. Law, chemistry, takedown throws. What diverse skills you boast, Mr. Sato. She's quite a catch. As useful as they are, I'm not sure that my throwing skills are worthy of inclusion in that list. That's cute. Okay, nothing here. It's so pretty and girly over here. Alright, let's go right here. Iris's beautiful tea set is there on the table as usual. A cup of one of her special herbal blends always helps me to relax when I'm feeling the strain. The English pastime of tea has many similarities with our own tea ceremony customs, don't you think? It's the idea of hospitality behind it. That's the essence of tea. Okay. And she has equations up here. They look kind of familiar, like physics. Oh gosh. Ugh. This is where Iris notes down ideas, isn't it? Let's see, what does it say today? Ah, the Boscombe Valley Mystery? Oh, how intriguing. It must be the title of Iris's latest work. Oh my, I wonder what fantastic tale awaits us. Sato-san looks like an angel, but I bet she's dreaming of the most unsavory crime you could imagine. Oh, that's funny. She's like, ooh, is it a double homicide? The bloodier the better. Look at this bust. These are all mementos of Mr. Holmes' past cases, I think. If he'd been involved in my case, I wonder if the beefsteak from La Carnival would be on display here. I would hope not. A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, a bust of Napoleon. Ah, what an entrancing collection. Looks like an untidy assortment of junk to me, rather like what's on my own shelves. Well, you really ought to learn to keep your things in order, Mr. Neruhodo. No favoritism there at all. Yep. Look at the flowers. No? Nothing else? What about the ducky? No? Maybe just her typewriter. It's big. I like typewriters. I haven't seen one in years. There used to be one at my mom's old office, and I used to type on it and have fun with it while I waited for her to finish work. It was great, because by then I think they had started using computers, but I just found the typewriter more fun. Come to think of it, I haven't seen Iris doing much writing recently. But there's paper already set up in the typewriter, look, as if she's about to start. That reminds me, when I mentioned that Iris was in the process of writing a full-fledged novel, Mr. Natsume was most impressed. Ah yes, Mr. Natsume. That's what I'll be doing too once I'm back in Japan, he said through tightly clenched fists and teeth. It's almost like she was writing something there. Okay, are we done looking around? I don't think I see anything else. Alright. Let's speak to him. You seem to be very unhappy this morning, Mr. Holmes. What's happened? It used to be the case that in my hands, this violin sung like the dawn of chorus. It's mellissonant. Oh, never heard that word before. Mellissonant, maybe? Its mellissonant tones would make flowers bloom. It would? I doubt that, but okay. But now, the muses are unamused with me. The goddesses of music have thrown me over. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Holmes? For hours I have bowed. For days, even. Through the night I have endeavored, to no avail. That sound, my tone is lost. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone. Gone forever! No more recitals of unbridled emotion! Oh, he got his energy back for a second. Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Shirley? Don't worry, I'm sure it will come back to you in time. Heed my words, Mr. Naruhodo. The goddesses of the arts are fickle. One day they bestow genius on a man, the next they unmercifully withdrawn it. Oh dear. So you're not even crying about the machine? Ugh, why is this happening to me? If they take the turn I have for the violin from me, what is left for pity's sake? What is left? So, you're pretty much saying you have no other skills that are worth it, but you're very intelligent even if you're kind of off sometimes. Deduction, perhaps? Isn't that what you're known for? Exactly. He's like, no, I just do that on the side. It's violin, that's really my calling. Okay, let's ask about the machine. Mr. Holmes, I don't like to pry, but... your desk looks rather empty today. Ah, well done, Mr. Sato. Your observational skills do you credit. Oh, no, Mr. Holmes. They pale into insignificance when compared to yours. You'd struggle not to notice, wouldn't you? You mean Shirley's great analytoscope? That's a Winterbanks now. Sorry, it's at a windy bank?
No, Windy Bank.
Is it pronounced Windy Bank? Is that why he heard that?
No, Windy Banks. The pawnbrokery. Pawn? What?
You mean you've pawned that enormous machine of yours? It has some considerable value, you see. Quite undeservingly.
But isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you had consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I should have gladly passed what little income I have to you.
Dear madam, things are far from desperate.
But the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How can it be anything but desperate?
Making use of a pawnbrokery is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you. It is? It doesn't sound ordinary at all. It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works. Oh, what's to understand exactly? Because from my understanding was always that, like, with pawn shops is that you sell them an item that you possess and they hold on to it, and there's always a chance that you could buy it back later. It's almost like a loan, you know? But isn't there a risk that somebody else could buy it while you're off doing other things? That's what I always understood it as. How pawnbroking works. Okay. Yes, teach me. What did you mean when you said we didn't fully understand how pawnbroking works? To the people of London, pawnbrokeries are akin to banks. Yep, like a loan, yeah.
Banks?
On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to their pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily through the week.
And then on Saturdays, they go to recover their things using the money they've earned.
I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us.
Everyone does it, you see, especially people in inner London.
And should they... Oh, sorry. I thought it was going to be Naruhodo for some reason. And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn, should the need arise.
Oh, how ingenious, but
very risky.
So whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at Windy Banks, you see?
A pawnbrokery can't be thought of as an extremely secure vault. Who would have thought that even pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain?
Of course, you have to watch Shirley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Shirley?
Mm-hmm. What does it matter? The world is dead to me now. Okay. Well, I feel like... we have to speak to her now, so... About the dog? Or cat. Wow, why did I say dog? Mr. Natsume's cat seems to have settled into his new home then.
Oh yes, and I've become very attached to little Waggy.
It would appear his previous owners completely forgotten to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. Their meows are as empty as the hearts of the muses. Oh, are you more of a dog person? Well, in the books, Sherlock and Watson do have a dog. What was his name? I'm forgetting. Hold on. He was like a bulldog, I think. He was a little round one. Dang it, I can't remember. I'll remember later. It's gonna bother the heck out of me. It's a very British name, wasn't it? Oof. Anyway.
Oh. If Mr. Natsume had no intention of taking Wagi back to Japan, I wonder why he kept him in the first place.
I expect he would have taken him if he could. But pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience. Yep. That led to a very sad situation for poor Kazuma.
And for good reason. Terrible things can happen if the rules of passage are not obeyed. Well, I don't mind, because Waggy is adorable. Oh, so cute.
Yes, he really is. Oh yes, what about the door? I don't remember seeing that tiny thing in the main door before. Where did that come from?
Oh, you noticed? You are observant, Runo. Look, I used this. It's my latest invention.
What is that? I love her music.
I call it the cat flapper mat.
Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats?
That's right. It can make a cat flap for our little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. And it can do it in any door at all, no matter what it's made of. It's very powerful, you see.
But not all doors should have a little cat flap. Wouldn't it have been quicker just to make the cat flap rather than making a machine to make the cat flap?
Well, I mean, yes, maybe. But now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like. Don't bring logic into this.
She's cute when she's pouting.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make one for us in the door of our office upstairs, Iris.
She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl. She's cute.
What happened, kitty? Oh, what was that?
Wagga hi. Oh. Oh my god, did he somehow get caught on the wires of the violin? That's not good. What was that?
Oh no! Wagahai's tangled up in your violin!
Yep.
I think he thinks it's a toy.
No! What's he doing to it?
Oh dear. Mr. Holmes's precious violin.
Why should I care?
What?
I shouldn't be surprised. If the cat is a more accomplished musician than I now. Oh boy.
Mr. Holmes really is in poor spirits, isn't he? Well, anyway, I put it back where it lives, shall I, Shirley?
Out of the cat's reach, if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. Oh, where is it? Is it over here? Yeah. Let's take a look at it. Is it okay? Oh, I see one of the strings. So this is the violin, is it? It's a Stradivarius, one of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier Antonio Stradivari. Oh, I see. It doesn't really look anything special to me. I happened upon it covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings. How honorable of you. And until today, It has been my faithful companion in every great Paganini-inspired performance I've made. I ask you, is there reason to live in a world devoid of music? To tolerate this blanched existence? No. There is none. Okay, Sherlock, calm down.
Mr. Holmes?
What, dear madam, what? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of release from this dull routine.
Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think?
Huh? Did something happen and that's why he can't play it well anymore? Huh? What do you mean, Miss Sato?
Oh, Susie's right! Yes, the tone of the wood is completely different.
Yeah, because the one we're seeing over here, I did notice that actually. When we panned over, I was like, oh, it's so much brighter colored than I thought it was. So it used to be a darker wood. Ah. That's so weird how my brain noticed that, but I didn't think anything of it, even though like it appeared in my mind, you know? That's strange. The brain works in mysterious ways. So, this is the wrong violin? How did it get switched or something? Someone stole it?
And that's not all. I'm sure there was no crack here before.
Wait, it's not even the right size, is it? It looks bigger, actually. What's this? How did you not notice, Sherlock? Seriously? You're supposed to be very observant.
I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Holmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all.
Then what?
I believe it's an entirely different instrument called a viola.
And I've always heard of violas, I just never knew the difference between them. I didn't know it was bigger and lighter colored. I wonder if the notes are different and that's why when he plays it, it doesn't sound right. What? 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 He collapsed.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, are you all right?
You're right. You are quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what, pray, is this piece of stringed flotsam? Not your faithful performing partner, then.
Ah, I see what must have happened.
You do, Iris?
This is just a simple mix-up.
It sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what's happened if we ask her. Okay. Is this gonna be important? Because I feel like we're taking a very long time to talk about all of this stuff before we even get to the case itself. What happened? What did you mean by a mix-up, Iris?
Well, you see, this violin, sorry, this viola, I mean, was at Windy Banks until last week.
At the pawnbrokers? Not Mr. Holmes's beloved musical partner. There is a proverb from the East with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel.
Yes, indeed.
So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in the hope that it would experience personal growth? What the frick?
Oh, what a wonderful idea.
Last week I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument. But it would appear Mr. Windybank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. It's not a fiddle, it's a viola. I think a fiddle is a completely different instrument as well. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this piece of timber. No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact that it just had strings. I mean, you did accept it, right? Even though it was bigger and different colored. Psh.
A fine state of affairs this is, and why I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker, they will try to fiddle you every time.
But earlier you told us that you could think of a pawnbrokery as an extremely secure vault.
Yeah. Come, Mr. Naruhodo, dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. Sorry? Crunching your toast with that vacant aspect. Thrusting your... Wait, what? Pressing your coffee so obtusely.
Fressing? I've never heard of that.
Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency with which we are faced?
We must visit Mr. Windybank's brokery at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Holmes?
Precisely, Mr. Sutter. Without a moment's delay.
Well, he's got the wind back under his sails.
But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs. My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect, to press your egg ever more obtusely. Alright, say no more. Let's go then.
Don't worry, Bruno. I'd be happy to heat it up for you again later.
Oh, thank you, Iris. You're a saint. As it happens, I am rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker's looks like.
Okay, I guess that's it. Well, let's head on out. New location has been added. Oh, Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy is what we're calling it. My lodgings and office located in the attic above the suite of rooms rented by Mr. Holmes.
Excuse me. I call it a consultancy, but clients aren't exactly beating down the door.
With the furniture we moved in recently, this place is starting to feel like a real office. Baker Street, a bustling London street on which we can be found Mr. Holmes's office and Windybank's pawnbrokery. There's a large park nearby too, and then the actual pawnbrokery. A British pawnbroker's shop. How fascinating. Let's go to Baker Street first. Interesting. So right next to the pawnbrokery, there was something that closed down. We can't move to the left or right, but we can examine. So I'm thinking we're gonna leave this episode right here, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this. In the next episode, we'll examine the outside before we go into the pawnbrokery. But until next time, have a nice day. Bye-bye.